You know, we talk a lot about these big global issues,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's hard to grasp the scale. You
Mm,
know what I mean? Like, how does it affect me here
absolutely.
in my daily life?
Right.
So let's talk about something very real,
Okay.
something we experience every single day. Pollution.
Uh-huh.
And get this,
Yeah.
pollution actually kills 3 times as many people a year as HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria combined.
Wow, I know, right?
That is a lot.
Yeah, and that's from the IHME Global Health Data Exchange tool.
Okay.
It really makes you think about the air we breathe, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
So to dive into this a little deeper, we're going to focus on Belgrade, Serbia today,
Okay.
because Belgrade is facing some serious pollution challenges.
Right.
In fact, back in 2019, 2 of its major coal power plants,
Coal power plant.
yeah,
Oh,
they were actually listed among the top 10 dirtiest in all of Europe.
really?
I know.
Wow.
This was by HEAL.
Heal.
Yeah, the Health and Environment Alliance.
What?
They're a pretty prominent European NGO.
Makes sense.
And then in 2020, Serbia itself, the whole country, was ranked 28th in the world for its air quality.
28th.
Yeah, 28th,
Okay.
with particularly high levels of PM 2.5.
Oh, they're the really fine particulate matter.
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
And PM 2.5 levels were almost 5 times higher.
5 times.
Yeah, 5 times higher than what the World Health Organization recommends.
That's pretty significant.
Yeah, it's not good.
No.
And it's not just about numbers, right?
Yeah.
This has a real human cost.
Of course.
The Global Alliance for Health and Pollution found that in 2019, Serbia had the highest rate of pollution-related deaths in all of Europe.
Oh, wow.
A staggering 175 deaths for every 100,000 people.
That's a huge number.
It is.
Yeah.
And you know, some activists in Serbia describe being able to actually see and smell the pollution,
Really?
especially in winter.
You can see it.
Uh-huh. They say they can even taste it.
Oh, wow.
It's that bad.
That's really intense.
Yeah, it's pretty alarming.
So this brings us to a really important challenge.
Right.
Especially in cities with dense populations like Belgrade.
Uh-huh.
The UNDP in Serbia, they pointed out that cities generate something like 75% of global CO2 emissions.
75%.
Yeah, 3/4.
Wow.
And a big chunk of that comes from traffic.
Obviously.
And all the energy we use to heat and cool our buildings.
Right.
Now Serbia is becoming more and more urbanized, right?
Uh-huh.
Nearly 60% of its population lives in cities,
Okay.
and that number is only growing.
So more people, more emissions.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you have this concentration of pollution sources in cities,
Right.
but then you also have limited space for things like trees,
Yeah.
which naturally help to clean the air.
Of course.
You can't just plant a forest in the middle of a city.
Logistically, that's difficult.
So this is where Serbian scientists have come up with this
Yeah.
pretty ingenious solution.
I'm interested to hear this.
They've developed what they call the liquid tree.
The liquid tree.
I know. Yeah.
Interesting.
It's technically called Liquid 3.
Liquid 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Serbia's first urban photobioreactor.
Photobioreactor.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me more about this liquid tree.
So essentially, it's this container
Yeah.
filled with about 600 liters of water.
600 liters.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty good size.
Yeah. And here's the key.
What's that?
The water is full of microalgae.
Microalgae.
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
And these tiny organisms, they actually absorb carbon dioxide just like trees.
Oh, right, through photosynthesis.
Exactly.
Right.
And then they release pure oxygen as a byproduct.
So it's like a mini forest
That's a great way to put it.
in a tank.
Yeah.
So how efficient is this? Like, how does it compare to actual trees?
Well, the scientists behind Liquid 3, they say that the microalgae in just one of these containers
Okay.
can absorb as much CO2 and produce as much oxygen as 2 10-year-old trees,
Wow.
or a 200 square meter lawn.
That's pretty impressive.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So think about it, right? You could have the air purifying power of a small grove of trees
Right.
in a space as small as a park bench.
Yeah, that could be a game changer for cities,
It really could. Yeah.
especially those struggling with green space.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now, I know what some people might be thinking.
What's that?
Are we trying to replace forests with these liquid trees?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, are we going to have cities full of algae tanks instead of trees? What do you think?
I don't think that's the intention.
No, the creators of Liquid E3,
Yeah.
they're very clear about this.
Okay, good.
They see this as a solution for places where planting trees just isn't feasible. You know, like really cramped urban spaces.
Right, where there's just not room for a tree.
Exactly.
Makes sense.
And get this.
Yeah.
These algae trees, they can even thrive in highly polluted environments,
Oh, wow.
which can be tough for some trees.
Right. Some trees are sensitive to that.
They are.
Okay.
And because they're in water, right? The algae can directly absorb CO2 that's dissolved in the water,
Oh, I see.
which is actually more efficient than how trees take in CO2 from the air.
Interesting.
So it's a win-win.
Oh, it sounds like it.
Now, if you're in Belgrade and you want to see one of these liquid trees in action,
I was going to ask where they are.
the first one is right in front of the municipality of Starigrad
Okay.
on Makedonska Street.
I don't know that area.
It's a really busy central area
Okay.
with lots of traffic, lots of emissions.
So a good place to test it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not just an algae tank, right?
There's more.
It's actually designed as a public bench.
Oh, that's class.
People can sit there.
Okay.
And it even has mobile phone chargers powered by a solar panel.
Oh, wow. So it's practical, too.
And nighttime lighting.
Also solar powered. That's really cool.
It's very well integrated into the urban landscape.
Yeah, they've thought of everything.
And the local authorities seem really enthusiastic about it.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, Bojan Bojic, he's the head of the Department for Social Affairs and Development Projects in Stalingrad.
Okay.
He's talked a lot about how this project can really improve quality of life for residents.
Absolutely.
Better public health, cleaner environment.
Yeah.
So let's talk a bit about the science behind this.
Okay.
What kind of algae are we talking about?
Yeah. What's in the tank?
Right, and how do you keep it running?
Yeah, good question.
Well, the Institute for Multidisciplinary Research,
Okay.
they chose to use a single-celled freshwater algae
Okay.
that's actually native to Serbia.
Oh, so local.
Yeah, you can find it in ponds and lakes all over the country,
Cool.
which means it's already well adapted to the local climate.
Right.
It can grow in regular tap water,
That's convenient.
and it can handle a wide range of temperatures.
Important for an outdoor installation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maintenance is pretty minimal.
Oh, good.
Every month and a half or so, you have to remove the algae biomass.
A biomass.
Yeah, it's basically like the excess algae.
Okay, what do they do with that?
Well, it can actually be used as fertilizer.
Oh, cool. So it's not wasted.
Not at all.
Huh?
Then you just add fresh water and some minerals back into the tank.
And the algae keeps growing.
Indefinitely.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
And Dr. Spasojevich, he's mentioned that these microalgae have a lot of other potential uses.
Oh, wow.
Beyond just air purification, he's talked about using them for wastewater treatment.
Wastewater treatment.
Yeah.
Interesting.
For composting.
Oh, yeah, makes sense.
Even for producing biomass and biofuels.
Wow.
And also for cleaning up pollution from factories.
Directly at the source.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
So the liquid tree is really just the beginning. It shows us how much potential these microalgae have.
Yeah, like we're just scratching the surface.
Exactly.
That's cool.
And this innovation hasn't gone unnoticed.
Oh, really?
Lakewood E3 was actually recognized as one of the 11 best innovative climate-smart solutions by the Climate Smart Urban Development Project,
Okay.
which is a partnership between the UNDP, the Serbian Ministry of Environmental Protection, and the Global Environment Facility.
So a pretty big deal.
It is.
Yeah.
So it's really encouraging to see this kind of project. It's a great example of how we can use science and urban planning to tackle these pressing environmental issues.
Right, where they're happening in the cities.
And the benefits go beyond just cleaner air, right?
Yeah, sure.
You have these added amenities like the bunch,
The phone chargers.
the lighting.
Yeah. It improves the public space, too.
It really does.
That's great.
But I do wonder, right?
Yeah.
How do we scale this up?
That's the question, isn't it?
How do we get more liquid trees in more cities?
Yeah. And I guess public acceptance is another hurdle.
Oh, definite.
People need to understand the benefits.
And of course, there's the cost factor.
Yeah. How do we make it affordable?
Right.
So there are definitely challenges.
But this is where I think this idea of climate-smart urban development is so important.
Absolutely.
We need communities, governments, and businesses
Wow, working together.
to come up with and support these kinds of innovative solutions.
Yeah. Like Liquid 3.
Exactly.
It's a great model.
Because we can mitigate climate change, but we can also improve quality of life.
In so many ways.
And I think that's really inspiring.
It is.
So next time you're stuck in traffic
Yeah.
or you notice the air quality isn't great, think about the possibilities.
Right.
Could a liquid tree work in your community?
It's worth considering.
It is.
For sure.
It's a reminder that we have the power to create positive change.
Yeah. Maybe nature holds some of the answers.
Absolutely.
I think so.
So there you have it, something to think about.
Thanks for that.
Thanks for joining me.